What's up guys, Lord Hezion here, back with another video, and today we're talking about the Samsung Galaxy Note 20. Weird that I'm holding the Note 20 Ultra right now, but bear with me because to understand what the Note 20 isn't, we have to understand what the Note 20 Ultra is. So, the Note 20 Ultra. This is the top of the line, bleeding edge flagship phone Samsung has made in 2020. In fact, this is their best flagship phone ever made in terms of specs, design and performance. It has ultra numbers, ultra high refresh rate, ultra cameras, ultra versatility, equipped with the ultra functionality you'd want in a Note phone, and yes, an ultra price tag attached to it. Everything a smartphone should be in 2020, and you can see this one bag some smartphone awards by the end of the year. Before we get started, please consider subscribing to the channel. I noticed majority of the guys watching my content are not subscribed, so if you're here, a sub to the channel would be phenomenal. See, when you have a teammate that's well equipped, versatile, well built and powerful as the Note 20 Ultra, intimidating even, pulling your own weight with massive cut downs can be really devastating. Let's pump the brakes, take a step back and start with the bearable stuff about the Note 20. Bearable, for lack of a better word, because of all the press this phone has. Let's start with the display. It's a bit smaller than that on the Note 20 Ultra, but no big deal. It's a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED Plus flat edge display that people prefer, with all the edge display features minus edge lighting. It's 1080p, 60Hz, and if you're being thorough, Gorilla Glass 5, and has a slightly larger selfie cutout for the 10-megapixel selfie camera. You get an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor underneath the glass, and the earpiece that doubles as the secondary speaker tucked away up top. Now, when people heard this 1080p 60Hz rumor that made it fact, they were riled up. But I'm here to tell you, that's not the worst part of this phone. I've lived on both the Note 20 series phones, and in my time with the Note 20 Ultra, I had the resolution set to 1080p to get 120Hz refresh rate, and visually, 1080p is still fine with Samsung's rich, punchy colors, brightness, and for the most part, if you're not a sucker for high refresh rate, then it's not a big deal. Watching content on it is okay, visibility outdoors is fine, the viewfinder in the camera app is also okay, so let's go ahead and give this display a pass. We can't ignore that cut down, though it's not the worst, not the best part of this phone. Bearable. The camera setup is also cut down significantly, as seen from the smaller camera bump compared to that on the Note 20 Ultra. I've already done an in-depth camera review on the Note 20 and even compared it to the S20 Plus, so if you missed that video, I'll leave a link to it right under that like button. Instead of the Note 20 Ultra's massive 108-megapixel main camera and the 12-megapixel periscope telephoto lens, capable of up to 5x optical zoom, the Note 20 gets its primary camera cut down from 108 to a 12-megapixel shooter and a 64-megapixel 3x optical zoom telephoto lens minus the periscope zoom capability. The small sensor aids in quick autofocus, thus beating the need for laser autofocus, so that's a plus for this camera. And to be completely honest, the feel and image quality of video and photos from this camera are similar to those on the Note 20 Ultra. Colors, saturation, light balance, and dynamic range feel very Samsung, and you even get to keep 8K video with the new 21:9 aspect ratio. The only cut downs here are no 50x zoom capability and no 108-megapixel mode. Then again, for some people that just point and shoot, 30x on the Note 20 is going to be more than enough, and they probably won't miss the extreme camera features that didn't make it from the Note 20 Ultra to this phone. Again, not the worst, not the best. The Samsung Galaxy Note 20 can get away with this camera. Right, let's talk about the specs. Snapdragon 865 Plus, Exynos 990 and 8 gigs of RAM is still pretty much high-end. Yes, it's cut down from 12 gigs of RAM and 256 or the 512 gigs of storage options, but that combination does get you through your day with minimal or no performance hiccups. The 4300 mAh battery is fine. It gets you through a day of light to normal average use, and since it's powering a smaller 1080p 60Hz refresh rate panel, the battery doesn't take a hit, so a better overall battery life experience on a single charge. Now, Exynos squabbles aside, 128 gigs as the only storage option in some regions, for example the United States, and what I have here, feels a bit small for a $1,000 phone. Considering this has the word Note in its name, one would at least expect 256 gigs as the base storage or even give an option for it. Top that off with the lack of expandable storage, and it's just ridiculous what Samsung is doing here. Not the best, not the worst, but you can definitely start to feel the squeeze of the cut downs on the Note 20. While at that, we can't ignore what makes a Note phone a Note, the S Pen. It's physically the same as that on the Note 20 Ultra with a variation in latency. On the Note 20 Ultra, it was cut down from 42 to 9 milliseconds, but here it's down from 42 to 26 milliseconds. And that's understandable because it's a 60Hz display. I definitely didn't recognize or feel any difference. It's still incredibly fast and responsive, coupled with all the S Pen features present on the Note 20 Ultra. The S Pen then is definitely not the worst part about this phone, since we can't feel the difference in latency in practical use. Samsung has that on lock pretty airtight. Now let's go through our list of cut downs. Those are going to be the cut down display, cut down cameras, cut down specs, cut down battery, cut down storage, and the cut down price. However, none of those has people riled up, mad, pissed off like the Note 20's build material. This phone is plastic, a plastic flagship phone in 2020 priced at $1,000, launched alongside a phone with the latest Gorilla Glass 7 in 2020. Take that in. Now, not to sound like I'm defending the Note 20, but plastic has its place in the smartphone world. It's almost always going to be associated with budget smartphones or another compound of it with mid-range smartphones. I'm talking about Samsung's mix of plastic and glass stick, on its mid-range devices. Yes, it adds to the durability aspect of the phone, since plastic won't shatter and set you back $300 to fix, like a glass back. But this phone is plastic. Yes, plastic will do a better job of hiding fingerprint smudges, make the phone feel light and increase grip, while skipping wireless charging, but this phone is plastic. Make matters worse, if someone handed you a glass stick mid-range phone, like say the Galaxy A51 on one hand, and the Note 20 on your other hand, bet the A51 will feel much more premium than the Note 20. Fun fact, it also sounds different. Not that anyone that buys this phone will go around tapping on its back, but for the sake of science and to prove a point, listen to this. That said, you can cut the Note 20 some slack, saying you'll just slap a case on it and forget that the phone has a plastic back. So let's move that gripe down to number 2. Not the worst, not the best, but we have no option but to bear with it. So what's the number one issue with the Samsung Galaxy Note 20? Lord Hezion says the launch price. This phone debuted at $1,000. Now convert that to Kenyan currency. Plus tax, we're looking at a cool 107,000 shillings out of your pocket for the base 128 gig, 1080p, 60Hz, plastic Note 20. I've lived on this phone for a while now, and each day I've tried to find something that justifies that $1,000 price tag, and I've failed. There's no way this phone should cost $1,000. And as a wise man once said, your price is way too high, you need to cut it. The Note 20 is not that bad a phone. The thing is, when you look at its premise, see that it has the word Note in its name, replay what your perception or expectation of a Note phone is, align that with the spec sheet and that $1,000 price tag, then look at its bigger brother, the Note 20 Ultra, it gets confusing. Hella confusing. Samsung is just into the idea of a more entry-level Note phone in 2019. They gave us the Galaxynote 10 and the Note 10 Plus. That was Samsung's way of getting people started on the Note lineup. Great idea, great strategy, great execution. It worked. And it's also partially why people are mad this year. The public expected this year's Note lineup to stay true to the new strand of Note DNA, where we'd get a slice of Ultra in the Note 20. At some point we did, but the cut downs were so extreme in the areas that mattered the most, especially if you compare the Note 20 series cut downs to the Note 10 series cut downs. Example, why would Samsung give us equal glass premium build on the Note 20 Plus and the Note 10, but cut down from Gorilla Glass 7 front and back on the Note 20 Ultra to plastic and Gorilla Glass 5 on the Note 20? Say you really want the S Pen in your life but don't want to spend $1,000 on the Note 20. You can pick up the Note 10 Plus from last year on deals south of $800 and be just fine. You get a great display, minus the high refresh rate, great battery life, great cameras, overall great feature set, and top that off with the newly announced 3-year device support. The Note 10 Plus is such a steal. To justify that $1,000 price tag, Samsung will have probably saved this boat in a couple of ways, as I see it. First, not to cut down a lot on the things the user will directly feel or interact with. Yes, save cost by not giving us the super 120Hz refresh rate, but come on, Throw us a 90Hz panel and we'll be just fine. Give more options for the base storage and add on microSD card support, or just commit to making a $1,000 phone that can compete like a $1,000 phone in its own lane in 2020, or rebrand the whole phone to something that stays true to the trend that was started last year. And to save costs, maybe swap out that A65 Plus chip with, say, a 765G chip and call it the Note 20 Lite, the Note 20 Fan Edition, or the Note 20e. Then price it at $800 or $700. That on its own would have placed the Note 20 in a better spotlight at launch and have it share in some of the attention and interest its bigger brother, the Note 20 Ultra, is getting. Heck, it might have even competed and even swallowed up majority sales of other smartphones in that $700 to $800 price range. Then again, they didn't do that because now they'd have an even more confusing Note lineup. Have a $500 or $600 price gap between the Note 20 Ultra and the base Note phone. So to answer the age-old tech reviewer question, should you buy the Galaxynote 20? I reckon don't. There's absolutely no way of justifying that price tag against the value of the Note 20. In fact, I reckon you should skip the Note 20 and go ahead to buy the Note 20 Ultra if you can add another $300 on top. If you can't, then skip it for the Note 10 Plus and save some cash if you need that S Pen in your life. Only buy the Note 20 if you're itching for a 2020 60Hz 1080p mystic green phone with a stylus, and I mean really itching for it. We've come to a point in time where the prestige and respect, the whole gist of a Note phone, has been convoluted and confusing to the average user. It's no longer enough to look at the Note branding as the pinnacle for performance, design, and specs a phone can have. This is the era where we look at the Ultra part of the phone for bleeding edge specs, cameras, display, and everything that will make you buy a Note phone. Yes, there's been some theories on how the Note 20 exists to fill the price deficit of the Note 20 Ultra, launching at $100 less than the S20 Ultra. Some even saying that the Note 20 exists to make you buy the Note 20 Ultra. Maybe this will be the end of the Samsung Note series, as the S21 next year is rumored to have S Pen support. At this point, only Samsung can explain and get rid of the confusion. Either way, that's been it. My name is Hezion. If you like this video, smash that like button consensually. Drop a comment below on your thoughts about the Note 20. Share this video with your friends and subscribe if you haven't. Come at me on Twitter and Instagram, and let me see you in the next one. Peace.